And I probably should mention that as I'm doing this. But you see, I'm working up higher. And I'm using the hard portion of the pad. We'll be okay though, I think.
What grade are you using?
This is 600. The 600 loads a little bit more than the other, but you just tap it off and it comes off pretty easy.
Do you have any idea what created that?
Oh yeah, that's just centrifugal force. And it's building up on that edge. I mean, it's...
Stop right there.
Yeah. Yeah, and so it's building up that edge, which I'm okay with because I wanted to be able to get that edge sharp. I intended it to be a lesson rather than a pain in the neck, but it may turn out to be a little bit of both.
Well, they kick us out at 9:30.
Oh, we're fine. It won't take that long. What's the standard? Most demos are what? 2
hours.
And yeah, 90 minutes. I've done this demo so dang many times. I'm usually pretty proficient at it, but yep, I think I've got that divot about where I want it. Now I'm just going to sand the rest of it here and get any other little divots out. And you notice now when I'm sanding from about here to here because I don't want to work that edge anymore. And you would think that when you sand a piece like this where you're being selective that somehow you would see a ripple, but once you get it flat and you get it polished, you don't ever see anything like that. Matter of fact, it looks way straighter than it did before. Okay, so surface-wise, it's looking pretty good. Now we're going to go to some of our finer finishes. Let me see. Looking at interface pads here. And we're going to go to a 1,000 grit Abralon on a 3-inch pad, and these are handy. And then now I'm just working this. For the sake of timing, I would probably work that top edge a little bit more, just to bring up that sharpness a little bit. Just takes a little bit of time, patience, and not getting too big of a hurry, because you get into a big hurry, you're going to burn through it. Okay. Now we're going to go to the next grit, which is going to be 2000. I'm going to dust it off a little bit. Look at it. Still, that's not looking too bad.
Is that where you stop for a matte finish?
I would actually probably do it with about 500 for a matte finish. Actually, a little bit coarser, you could do it with 1,000. And that's probably fine. What's neat about the Abralon is it gives you almost like a crosshatch, so you don't see the scratches that are making it matte. So it really makes a nice finish when you do it that way. And you'll see here in a minute, actually, this stuff will start to polish with just the finer and finer we get. And I'm putting quite a bit of pressure on this. Matter of fact, that's how they polish bowling balls when they make them, is with Abralon. So we used to have a bowling ball manufacturer in San Antonio for many years. The Columbia factory was there. I don't know whatever happened to it. I have a day job. I own a inspecting business that I inspect houses. Been doing that 20 years. It's about time to retire, I can tell you. Been too busy. Here, I did bring some of this. That'll work. So most of you guys from the north end of town here, or are you guys from all over the Metroplex? You're in Dallas? Yes. I don't. Let's see. Now this is a wet or dry paper. Let's see what. There's some 1500. That's 1500. Yeah, I know, but it's just on this little bottom thing. I can get it flatter there. I'll be able to polish it out either way. Sometimes I'll do things that don't make a lot of sense, but there are reasons behind it. We're going to the 3000. And you know, this stuff lasts forever. I've got stuff that's 5 or 6 years old that I still use. You know, and I'm not bad. I mean, sometimes I'm a little chintzy, but if sandpaper is wore out, I don't have a problem getting rid of it. So. Micro mesh doesn't, I don't think it works all that well, personally. And yes, I have tried it. This cuts better than micro mesh and gets just as fine, or as fine as it needs to be. And micro mesh costs a lot more. But you can see this is really starting to smooth out. Now we're going to go to the 4000. And when we get closer to the end, I use a softer interface pad and just blend it all pretty well.
On things like cherry, the CA would not block UV, so it will still aid?
Yep. Yeah, it's not, it does not block UV. And this piece is darkened since I turned it, so. It's UV stable though. In other words, UV doesn't deteriorate the finish. And the resins I use in my pieces, those are all UV stable as well. Now, when I polish it, I usually use, and there's a lot of things. You could use anything from automotive polish, whatever you wanted to do. I use Novus plastic polish. It's readily available. It's cheap and it's really fine. You can get it at, if you don't want to order it, you can get it at the Container Store. It's like $6 or $7 a bottle. And I'll show you what we use that here in a minute. Let me see. I'm going to use my softer interface pad. Okay, I want to see if it's going to polish well. Probably will. Now there again, I use paper towel, and I put a nice little glob of this stuff on there.
What is it again?
It's Novus plastic polish, and this is the number 2. They have a number 3 if you got heavier scratches, and the number 2. Mostly I just use the number 2. And I want it to really soak into that pad. And the reason being is because it almost becomes like a rouge cloth. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with like what rouge cloths are for polishing silver and stuff. It's a cloth that is impregnated with jeweler's rouge. So this is basically fills that. Now if you turn this on with it all wet, you're going to end up with a face full of polishing compound. Yes, I've figured that one out. Now this is where we can increase our speed. And it'll get a little bit warm. You could burn through other finishes with this. I have not burned through CA with this ever, so. Pretty good. And like I said, I would work the edges a little bit more than I did, generally. You can get that on Amazon too, if you don't feel like going to the Container Store.
Woodworld here carries it too.
Do they? That's good then. Lots of alternatives. Now, you can also, and we'll play with that a little bit here in a second. So we've got it at that stage there. You can also buff it. And the buffing doesn't really add anything necessarily to the, I'll keep it on the chuck for now. But sometimes you can get out defects. Okay, there we go. You can get out defects buffing. And the compound I use, I don't know where you can get it anymore, because old Don Pencil used to make it, or have it made, or got it from somebody, but he called it a plastic lacquer compound, and it worked really well. I use a fine flannel buff. This is Domit, I believe. And you can get flannel buffs a lot of different places. I think I got these from Caswell's, which is an online metal finishing store. And I've got like 5 or 6 bars of that, probably a lifetime's worth. But there again, you can buff way faster and harder with this material than you could lacquer. I don't often wheel buff. There are certain times if I see a little defect that I don't want to do any more sanding, I'll wheel buff. I've had caught pieces on the buff and sent them across the shop, which is not fun. But after I wheel buff, I generally go back over it with the Novus to try to remove any fine scratches that I can. And we'll put that back on. And I'm not going to apply any more of this. I'm just going to use my damp towel that's got the plastic polish soaking into it. Do a nice little light buff. We can take towel and just, and there it is, it's shiny. And any questions? Yeah, I still got a couple of lines in there. Oh, that may have been, they need polishing. Huh. Either way, I didn't take as much time as I normally would on it. But you can, in reality, you can take a piece that size and in a couple of hours have a finished piece. You'll take, generally, you just want to take all the time you can sanding it properly, and then you'll usually be okay with it. But
Thank you, Alan.
no,
Appreciate it.
thank you.